you will realize that so far we have used only local data sources to import the data. However, in your real life, you would like to import data from websites, and you would like to have data from multiple web queries which will contain exchange rates, currency rates, and LIBOR rates, and other informations from websites. We need to use from web option over here, but before we start, let's have a look at the case study at hand. Importing data from web queries, and as Ramano has successfully completed the earlier two assignments, his manager is confident in his ability and gave him a new task to import data from web. The new task requires him to import the LIBOR rates and currency rates. Ramano has no idea how to import data from web. He again approached you and asked your help in learning the techniques to get data from web. Help Ramano. Before we start importing the data from website, let me give you a quick idea about three types of websites which we are going to deal with. Type 1 websites allow you to download the entire page except some specific tables. So you will be able to download entire page without picking and choosing specific tables. So these are not very friendly, but still it allows you to import the data. Type 2 is very friendly website, and user-friendly website allows you to download any specific tables. It allows you to pick and choose what table you want. While type 3, you can download nothing directly. So we are going to learn how to import data from this type of website. So to begin with, we will start importing LIBOR rates. So I will search LIBOR rate, and as you can see, this is the official website for LIBOR. I will click on that. Now what I want is, I want this table over here. Okay, so now I will copy this link. I will go to the Excel, open a new blank Excel file, click on from web. In that I will paste my link, click on go. Let it load completely. Once it gets loaded, you will be able to see this arrows available. So as you can see, you have multiple arrows available. It tells you what data you can import. So in this case, I would like to import this data, but there is no corresponding, you can say, tick mark available. So corresponding tick mark is not available, so I will have to import the entire web page. So this is the type 1 website. I can tell you from that, where I cannot import specific table, I can import the entire web page. So what I will do is I will select that, then I will click on options, and in that I will select full HTML formatting. Then I will click on import. And what it will do is, it will try to download the data, and it will ask you where you want to put it. So let's wait for the data to copy, and as you can see, our data is somewhere down over here. And even if you delete the data which you don't want, it will again come back when you refresh this data query. So when you refresh, even if you delete some of the things, it will again reappear. So to avoid that thing, we are going to hide it instead of deleting it. So we are going to hide the unwanted rows. So this way we are going to format the data which we want, and specifically we are going to hide unwanted rows. So now as you can see, even if you right click and now update the data, refresh the data, this will get refreshed without unhiding the other rows. And in your model, you can simply select any cells like this. This is your cell B56. You can simply select this and press enter. So in your model you can choose bond bias 20-year bond rate or FNMA 30-year mortgage 60 days rate, and you have all the rates available in one table. So this way it is much more easier to import the data, and this is the robust method to import and structure your data instead of copy pasting the data manually every time you want it. Of course, today the market is off, but if it is on daily, it will update. So you can check the next day and you can right click, update your file, update your query, and the data will change. In case you have multiple tables, you can choose to click on refresh all. It will refresh all the different queries which you have imported. So this is very useful. So in this exercise we have learned how to import the data from type 1 websites. Type 1 websites allow you to import the entire web page. You of course would like to have ability to pick and choose, but type 1 website will not allow you to do that. And before we continue and go to type 2 websites, let's understand how this import works. So I have already opened one HTML encoding. This is a table which you have in HTML. HTML have table tag available, like table border is equal to 1, you have table row, and everything is specified, table data is this. So what happens then is Excel identifies this tag, which is in this case table tag, and what it does is you have a web page, in that you have this table opening tag and table closing tag. So it identifies the content between that, and it will display one arrow mark. So once you click on that, it will become tick mark, and you will be able to download your table. However, most of the websites nowadays have different kind of structure. They use div tag and iframe tags. So these tags are not Excel friendly tags. Excel will not be able to identify the data within this tag. So based on your website structure, you will be able to pick and choose your table, or you will simply be able to download the entire web page. So now let's go to type 2 website. In this case we are going to import exchange rates, and we are going to use xrates.com website to download exchange rates. And as you can see, there is one table which I want, which is cross currency exchange rate. This table I can easily import because I have one option next to that. So I can click on that, I can choose what formatting I want, and I can click import. So for the time being, if you click on that, right now this is the rate available. You can just put equal to sign and assign any of the cell into your model. You can click on refresh to refresh your data, and as you will see that it is very simple to use. Now the data is refreshed, as you can see. So it is very simple to use, it is dynamic, and it allows you to dynamically modify your data, and your model will get updated as and when the data changes. You can simply change data range property to make it refresh after every 1 minute, for example, and this is very simple to use. Of course we would like to have all the websites as type 2 websites, but unfortunately that is not the case. There are quite a few websites which will not allow you to download anything, and those websites are type 3 websites, and we'll see how to import data from this type 3 websites. Not all of them, but some of them, if they use some query which goes out of your system. But meanwhile I will show you how to understand what is a type 3 website. So let's say instead of xrates.com you want to download data from well-known onda.com. So this is the website, and you want to go to currency converter, in that live exchange rates. So this is the table which you would like to import. You have rates available, but unfortunately you don't have anything next to it, so you would have like to import entire web page. And when you import the entire web page, let's see what happens. So you click on import, and let's see how it looks. This website uses Adobe Flash, so once you download the data and see the data, you will realize that it is not returning any data because data is rendered in a different format. So you will see no exchange rate is displayed. So this is the type 3 website. Although you can download and import the entire web page, the relevant information is not displayed. So we will understand how to import data from this kind of website. Of course, this onda.com is using different techniques, so we'll not use that. Most of the time you should try to find different data source for your requirement. If possible, ignore type 3 website and find alternative website to download your data. Now we will see how to download the data from some of the type 3 website which uses web query from your computer. To do that, you need to use one software which is freely available, Bubsuit. You can download that Bubsuit from here. We have already downloaded that software to show you, and I will first need to configure my proxy to use that. So how it works, let's understand how it works. So normally what happens is, let's say this is your computer. So you have your computer over here. So this is your computer, and it sends and receives data from web server. So now what happens is, when you click on any website and you view any data, website from client side sends one request to the server, and server honors that request and gives you the data. So now we are going to understand how it works. We know that data goes through packets. So once you click on anything, the query goes out of your system and it is going through TCP IP protocol. So in that case, your computer sends small packets of data, and what we can do is, before it goes out of your computer, we can look what is inside that table and what is inside that packet to identify the query which goes out of your system. And what normally happens is, your server sends the data and reply to that query, and your client and, you can say, presentation layer of your website will understand the query and try to present the data. But Excel may or may not be able to understand that presentation layer. For instance, if it is Java applet, then what? Excel will not be able to download the data or import the data from Java applet. So in that case, we can use HTTP request and understand the query which goes out of your system. In order to show you how to import data from type 3 websites, I am going to use Emerging Market Stock Exchange, NSEindia.com. Let's say you want to get and download the data for Reliance Industries, and once you click on that, you are presented with the quote for Reliance Industry. As you can see, even if I click on historical data, this header address is not changing. The reason being that this web page uses frame. You have a header frame over here, you have left side panel as a frame, you have right side panel as a frame, and you have a middle main page. And of course these are also iframe and Java applets. So even if you select data and you click, let's say you want to download data from 1st of January to, you want to download data from January to September 30th. So let's select September 30th and click on get data. So as you can see, currently it is displaying the data for the given period in the descending order. But let's say you want to download this and import this in Excel. So even if you click and copy this web page and put it in your Excel, you will realize that it is of no use, because the moment you go below and click over here, nothing changes. So Excel is not able to identify the correct web address. In this case, what we can do is we can use our burp suite and use burp proxy. Before we use it, we need to use a simple thing, which is proxy changer. We need to change our proxy setting. We need to click on lens settings and change our proxy to localhost. Let's understand what is localhost and how it works. So you normally send your data out of your system. So this is your computer again, and this sends out the data. So what we are going to do is, instead of sending this data directly to the server, we are going to use this burp proxy, and burp proxy will send this data to the server. So now we are not directly sending the data to the server. The data will pass through burp proxy, and in order to do that, you need to put address of your own computer, so that before data goes out of your system, it reaches burp proxy and then it goes to the server. So in order to set this configuration, we are going to change our proxy setting and set it to localhost, with the address for the same is 127.0.0.1 with port 8080. And now, just before we click, then intercept is set as on, and we are going to click on get data. Before we do that, I select the time period, Jan 1 to September 30th, and now I click on get data. So you will see over here that now you will be able to see that this is the query which goes out of your system. So what I will do is I will copy this query. This is your HTTP request, HTTP 1.1. This is the HTTP latest version available, and just need to copy this and put it in a notepad, for instance. And what we are going to do is, this query we are going to modify, and you just need to add domain name nsecindia.com in this case as a prefix to your query. And for the timing, I'm going to set this intercept off. Close this, and now I'm going to reset my proxy settings so that now it is normal. Now let me explain it to you how this query works. This query is your JSP query with symbol over here, which is the symbol for Reliance Industry. The from date is given in the format dd-mmm-yyyy, and to date is in the same format. And right now date period is blank because we have not selected 3 months or 2 weeks or something like that. So if we select that, this from date and to date will be empty, and date period will be 2 weeks or something like that. So for the time being, this is variable enough for our purpose. So what we are going to do is we are going to copy this at our query and then put it in Excel from web. So now if I press enter, you can see this is the data returned by the query, and it is in the same format which I want. I will select it, options, full HTML format, and import. So as you can clearly see, it is giving me the data in the exact format which I want. It is very quick because it is bypassing the normal presentation layer, and it is easy to use as the data is refreshed every now and then. You can right click on this and you can refresh data based on your requirement. You can again edit query. You can put your data range property to refresh it every 5 minutes or 1 minute as per your requirement. And this is the way you can import data from Type 3 website if that website uses query like this nscindia.com. Well, in case you want to change the script from Reliance to some other script, you can do so very easily. For that purpose, you need to first go to NSC India website. Under product equities, you can download bhav copy, and bhav copy will contain list of all the symbols, and this is the bhav copy which contains list of all symbols. What you can do is you can use any of the symbol. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's say, use ABB or ABAN as my symbol and change this import query to suit my requirement. So I'm going to edit query and simply change this Reliance to ABB. Once I do that, you will see that this is the refreshed query and it is giving me exactly the data which I want. So this has all the data. Now it is for ABB. Of course you have ABB data and earlier it was Reliance data. So this is very simple. In the next few sessions we are going to learn how to use macros to change your symbols dynamically, to change your from date and to date dynamically. For the time being, however, this is very simple to use query, very simple to modify query, and it is very useful as well.